This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing, sir? Good morning. Good morning.
I'm doing good, but I know I'm getting angry Orlando Alzugaray, so I might move back here in my seat a little bit and let you bloviate a little bit more.
No, but you got the good stuff. You get to cover the Miami Heat. You get to cover, just to bring this up now. And this is my you reassess everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gather more information and then you say, I was right or I was wrong on this. And in this case, it's the latter. And, I wasn't big, as you know, on these contracts, right? The long term, I'm really concerned about all that stuff with Lowry and Jimmy down the line because their bodies are old. And we see it with Jimmy already that, he's constantly getting dinged up and all that. So, but I said with the caveat, this 1 year here might be their best year because this is the healthiest these older guys are going to be. And you really could make a nice run here in the conference. Well, I'm wrong. If they're healthy, they can win it all because I didn't count on Yurtsevin. I didn't count on Gabe Vincent. I didn't count on Max Strus. I didn't count on Caleb Martin. I didn't count on this crazy-ass depth that this team has now. We thought we were looking at, and I know he's going to shorten his rotation for the playoffs and all that stuff, but if you need some ammo, it's going to be there for you now. Something we didn't know. We were kind of looking at it like, well, they got UD and they got Okpala, and they're just spots that are sitting there. We're not even looking at the other guys. And all of a sudden now, I have changed I'm wrong. The Miami Heat can win the NBA title if they're healthy. I believe they can beat anybody. I know Golden State will be tough, but still.
Well, I mean, and again, you have to look at quality wins, and that's the thing. They've beaten every contender in the East. They've beaten Chicago twice. They've beaten Milwaukee twice. They've beaten they've beaten Brooklyn when they went up there. So there's not a team in the East that scares you. And yes, even Golden State, they were shorthanded within 4 points, 3 minutes to go on the Warriors' home court, albeit without Clay, but still they played them competitive. They certainly have shown what they can do against Utah. They showed what they can do against Phoenix. So I agree. I have a little different take on depth than you do. And I agree to your latter point that you're going to shorten the rotation anyway. I look at the Heat depth this way, almost in a food type of sense, as preservatives. That because you have a Caleb and a Gabe, guys like that, you could preserve the legs of Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris and Dwayne Dedmon, your older players. So when you get to that 8 or 9 man rotation come the playoffs, you could have fresher players. Bottom line is, and I wrote this today when I did my Heat midseason report card and gave Kyle Lowry my midseason MVP, he's only missed 4 games. The one guy I was most concerned about missing time at 35 years old has shown the kind of gamer he is. And Spo's been careful, and he hasn't overused him. And they've had a bunch of fourth quarters, thankfully, where Kyle's been able to sit. So, yeah, I still think it comes down to your top 3 reserves in the playoffs. And that's probably Tyler Hero, either Max Strus or Duncan Robinson, who doesn't start, and Dwayne Dedmon. But you have a little bit more there that in the first or second round, if someone is injured or not fully themselves, you can feel comfortable with a Vincent or a Caleb Martin or put someone else. And we haven't even mentioned the golden ticket, Victor Oladipo, the universal donor. You bring him in, you have a playmaker, you have a scorer, you have a defender, you have a ball handler. So that's still the unknown. If Victor Oladipo is close to Houston Victor Oladipo or Indianapolis, Indiana Victor Oladipo, then everything changes. I'm not saying he's Klay Thompson, but he might be one of the top 5 NBA midseason game changers.
Oh, yeah.
So we wait.
Yeah. No, it's just, to me, that's the thing that it gets me more excited about this team is the development of these young guys, and it just really sets them up right now. Ira, where are they health-wise overall with the team?
Probably as healthy as they're going to be and getting healthier. I was surprised Jimmy was still on the injury report. I thought after all this time off, but I think that's being cautious. And that's a Monday injury report for a Wednesday game. I think Jimmy comes back and plays. He's now gotten a full week off after he had that injury at Golden State. Actually, he'll have 8 days. Health and protocols, the only person in it, it's interesting, is Marcus Garrett right now and Markieff Morris. So they did keep Kyle Guy and Chris Silva. When Garrett comes back, they'll have to make one of the two inactive, which is fine. You don't have to go that far down in your depth, or make a move with their two-way contracts and maybe keep a Kyle Guy. Again, it's always something, Big O. So just when Markieff Morris goes on Twitter and says, I'm coming back, and he flies out to Phoenix and he's with the team and he practices there, then all of a sudden he enters protocols. And that's the great unknown of all sports. We've seen it with the Panthers. Just when they're playing great, Hornquist goes out. You never know. That's the unknown in sports. So yes, Markieff Morris remains an abstract. You will see Dwayne Dedmon and Bam Adebayo before the end of this month, and probably sooner rather than later. So really, your only major injury questions right now, if Markieff is back like he said, is the Victor Oladipo injury. Otherwise, you're closer to healthy than you've been in a while. And again, that's going to open us up in these Acura Pembroke Pines reports for who plays and who doesn't. And it's interesting because every time we ask Eric Spoelstra, what do you do now? He has that like Cheshire grin. Don't jinx it. Don't tell me I have everyone, because 2 minutes later, Jay Sable, the trainer, will come over and say you can't play. But there's a lot of really interesting choices, including the Yurtseven thing, who I still believe is more of a future thought than a current thought for the Heat. And just to expand this, I wrote this in my Ask Ira today. The Heat right now, their primary power forwards, you'd agree, are PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris, pure power forwards.
Right.
Well, PJ Tucker's on a 1-year deal, that a 2-year deal, player option second year, that pays less than the mid-level. He's going to be looking for a little bit more after the season, as he should. And because the Heat don't have bird rights, they can't really offer him more than $8 million or so next year. So that's a little tenuous. Markieff Morris, if he comes back and does something, he's on a 1-year deal. That's a little tenuous. So maybe next year we get to Yurtseven and Bam. Maybe Bam gets that 3-point shot going a little bit more, or Yurtseven, and the Heat can go bigger. Again, Dwayne Dedmon, 1-year deal. You can move off of him. So for all the names you mentioned to me, the Vincents and the Struces and the Yurtseven, I think it bodes better for the future. And that's why the Heat have taken this screw draft choices approach, because I'd rather have what the Heat have gotten off the street than some of these number 27 draft choices or second-round picks anyway. So
and
I
it looks
think
like
as encouraging as the moment is, Big O, I think the future is more encouraging.
But it keeps them flexible too at the same time. At least that's what it seems like. But let me ask you on a follow-up on the PJ Tucker one.
Sure.
So they can't offer him more than a 1-year, $8 million deal. But what if they offer him a 2-year deal?
Sure.
Can that second year have the bump?
No,
and
it can't.
Hey,
it still can't have more than about 15%. But here's the deal. PJ Tucker is 36. So if you were to give him 2 years, probably with the raises, $20 million, that might get it done. That takes him to 38. Now, again, I think people always, overstate chronological age. I think people would be surprised how old I am, how old you are, because if you're invigorated and active, you can still do something. I don't look at PJ Tucker as a 36-year-old. I look at PJ Tucker as a contributor, and I couldn't give a rat's ass what age he is. I would rather have him at 36 than some of the other bums out there. They paid more money in their low 30s. Same thing with Kyle Lowry. He's going to be an irascible SOB the rest of his career. But if that motivation, hopefully not too technicals like in Portland, but if that keeps him going, then God bless him. One of my fellow NBA, actually a broadcaster, texted me during the game. He goes, Kyle looks a little big in the butt. And I said, you know what? If he plays big in the stats and big in the win column, I don't care. In that case, I like big butts and I cannot lie. So I'm fine with that. Thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot. And then I go from there.
But he certainly doesn't go by the rule of Pat Riley that every year you get older, you come in a pound lighter.
Well, or a body fat percentage lighter. And I honestly wonder, Big O, for all the talk of the Heat's conditioning test, if they didn't necessarily let Kyle skirt some of that. And you know what? God bless him if they did, because the rules have to be flexible for your Shaquille O'Neals, for your Kyle Lowrys. Get it done on the court. I don't care about anything else. Sort of like the Allen Iverson type of thing there also. Game day is fine. I'm fine.
Well, you know what it is? And I think you have the same thing that I do when we look at certain players. Is he a professional? Oh, he is? Not worried about him.
Right.
That's
and
it.
He's a pro's pro.
And that's it. So, he's always going to be ready. If there's a character issue, okay, and there's a conditioning issue, then you worry about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But Lowry is a guy, okay, he's not in the best condition, but when has that ever stopped him from, ever giving you an effort and playing hard and all that? He's always been Kyle Lowry. That's who
Yes.
he's been. It's not like it's ever changed. His body has always been that dude. You know what I mean? Sherman Douglas was that dude.
Yes.
Charles Barkley was that dude. There are some guys that aren't necessarily workout fiends, but you kind of know who they are by their DNA, who their makeup, and you just don't worry about it that much.
And we even saw that with Kyle on this last road trip. He was out on the golf course in Phoenix, and Pat Riley used to have a no golf clubs rule on road trips. It's all about business.
Yeah.
Hey, if he shot a good round and then beat the Suns, go ahead and play golf today and tomorrow and beat the Hawks twice this week. I have no issue with that. So, rules are made to be bent for players you should bend them for. I think that's a little bit of the Dolphins issue there also. Is the across the board hard ass approach is not the best approach. And Eric Spoelstra, the one thing you'll notice, Big O, no matter what he thinks of a player or doesn't, publicly you're not going to hear condemnation. He will dance around it. He will tell you how hard KZ Okpala is working in practice. He'll tell you that guys are working to get their games better. Privately, that's a different story.
Atlanta, not the team they were last year. Why?
Because when you have a lot of young singular stars and you draft a lot of players in the same relative age group and everyone wants to be the man, it gets difficult. And now John Collins, a very good player from up here in West Palm, Cardinal Newman, and even he said, you know what? They don't call any plays for me. I'm not getting the ball. I'm not getting it enough. And that's sort of, that poison that seeps in or whatever of success. They are a very unique team. The Trae Young Hawks remind me of the Iverson 76ers, where they got Iverson out there dominating the ball and then four subservient players, Mutombo, Tyronn Hill, Eric Snow, players like that. But if other players want the ball and Trae Young is playing that style, it can be difficult for a Bogdanovich and a Gallinari and a John Collins and a Cam Reddish. So I think it's kind of tough. And I also think Nate McMillan is one of these coaches where sometimes you keep the interim coach too long. And I think he gave them a nice spark last year. Remember Miami? He came in and replaced Lloyd Pierce between those back-to-back games against the Hawks. They won the second game going away. They took off. They went to the conference finals. But I think there's an expiration on that also. And I don't think there's a real love fest for Nate McMillan also. So they
Why
very
doesn't he
much
ever
have
last?
regressed.
He doesn't last anywhere.
No, he does. And he doesn't succeed on the highest playoff level also. So I think sometimes you got to step back. But I think that's sort of the convoluted management situation in Atlanta also.
Is this like his fourth head coaching job, including interim?
At least that. I mean, obviously way back in Seattle and then the time in Indiana also. And he gets results and he lifts your bar to a certain level. I was surprised when the Pacers let him go.
Man. He's a hell of a player, dude.
Yeah,
I remember.
I was surprised when the Pacers let him go, but all my friends who work in Indianapolis say, yeah, but he hits a bar and he levels off there and he can't get you to that next level. So that's what's going on in Atlanta.
Pelicans, do they end up in Vegas or Seattle? Because I mean, we're headed there, aren't we? Like Vegas and Seattle are going to get teams, right?
This was David Stern's thing. After Katrina, he did everything and anything he could to bring him back from the temporary time in Oklahoma City and said, you will have a home here. But now David Stern has passed and times have changed and there's great markets out there, whether it's Vegas, whether it's Seattle, whether it's Kansas City. And if you expand, you're cutting your revenue pie of 1/30 of a really nice slice of new television money. So, yeah, I think it could be the time now when you see NBA teams move on. That has never been an NBA market. That's a football market. That's LSU. That's the Saints. That's who they are. I mean, I tell people the fascinating story about the Smoothie King Center is this. They don't even have air conditioning. They pipe in the air conditioning from the Superdome. So you really are a second-class citizen in your own building there. So I do wonder, and if Zion Williamson leaves or forces his way out with another trade of a major star from the Pelicans like Anthony Davis, I do think you have to wonder how much longer they can last.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you the story. I've been to games there, and it's just, whatever. I got like $32 for 2 lower bowl tickets, for me and my producer, like nothing. It was like, wow. And there
like
was
a secondary
no
sport. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad. It's depressing to go to a game there. So, okay. So we figure New Orleans is going somewhere. So that means, does the NBA expand or do they move another team? Because you and I know Seattle and Vegas, they're going to, you threw a little curve at me with Kansas City now, but I figure, Vegas and Seattle are two just fantastic locations now.
I think Seattle.
I can't even. Here's the part that I'm so confused. I thought basketball would be the first one in Vegas.
Well, the
And they're
NBA
gonna be
had
the
an all-star.
last.
The NBA had an all-star game in Vegas, and it was an abject disaster. And the city almost blew up. So I don't know if they won 41 games there and have to go through that. And you know what? You might laugh at this, Big O, but they have that summer league cash cow that is unbelievable on the campus of UNLV.
You and I will be there next year.
Yes,
okay?
and so I'm not sure they want to give up July, because it's almost like when we used to have minor league baseball here, with the Yankees of Fort Lauderdale Stadium. Once you get your major league team, all the ancillary stuff dies. Seattle's a legacy market. It'll make it easier for Portland for travel. You can then move one of the Western Conference teams maybe to the Eastern Conference, realign a little bit more. So I think Vegas might be a little more back burner, although certainly the success of the Raiders and the success of the Golden Knights shows that it does work. The whole thought of transient fans in Las Vegas, no, there are people who live there. That's a good sports market. I agree.
The A's are going to be there soon too now. So that's why I'm saying the baseball is going to get there before basketball. I would have never thought of that. By the way, I hear Vegas may be shut down in 2 weeks. Anyway, all right. So looking at the team tomorrow, this is a game that very winnable, right? I mean, they're not even.
Yeah, this is a game that matters.
They're not even dominant at home, by the way.
And they have the Hawks twice. They have them tomorrow and then back Friday at FTX Arena. Orlando, if you remember last year, the Heat lost a late season game to Atlanta. They wound up losing the number 4 seed in home court against the Knicks by 1 game. A lot of people look at the standings and say divisions don't matter. No, divisions are the second tiebreaker after head-to-head. It does matter. It's important to win your division. It is there for the taking. We know that the Hornets are okay, but not good. We know the Wizards are okay, but not good. We know the Magic are awful. So it'll come down to these head-to-head games against the Hawks. If the Heat are closer to full strength, if they have Jimmy Butler coming off a 3-day break with Kyle Lowry and the other players, I think both of these games are gettable because the schedule gets harder after this. Then you have Philly on the second night of a back-to-back on Friday. Then you got teams like Toronto coming in and the Lakers coming in and the Clippers and the Blazers. So you know what? These might be your gettable games. But Big O, more than anything, after tomorrow, when I do our new hour-long show, you want to tell people our new sponsor?
You go ahead, baby. It's the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint program.
So when we put you on 1 hour of full security NBA basketball after tomorrow, when I do the show from Atlanta, the Heat's closing schedule, 26 of their final 41 games will be at home. This is move time. This is like, okay, we're at the Kentucky Derby. We're coming around the final turn. We're coming down the home stretch. And it's nothing but open area between us and that finish line. That's incredible. A +9 in home versus road games over the second half of the schedule. So honestly, survive one more road game and it opens wide open from you. And all of a sudden, I'll be doing plenty of these from this home studio instead of from some hotel shaky internet.
Good for you. Good for you. Actually, you've been on a good roll with the hotel internet, actually.
Oh, it's been better than FTX Arena when I had to go to the phone. So I've been pretty good. But I literally am walking my laptop around the room because there's no more hard lines to find that one sweet spot. And then I realize half the time is facing the bed, so I have to make my bed even in a hotel room.
When the hell are they going to fix that humming in the damn? They never ever bothered to fix that damn humming in the press box.
Okay, this is for people who want to know. When you watch your Heat post-game shows and you see your interviews and you hear this zzz, the Miami Heat interview room is next to the electrical station at FTX Arena. They have built solid concrete walls. They have put up the matting that Big O has in his home studio and carpeting and anything they could to get rid of it. And every time we have a visiting person come in, a broadcaster, the first thing they go is, what is that sound? It's almost like I've spent my career working under electrical wires that I am sure when I'm done doing this beat, I will glow in the dark.
Yeah. It's just, it really is nuts, dude. It just, they should just move that press room somewhere else, man. Just for the audio.
Big O, we're not a priority, and we're not getting any closer to that locker room. Don't kid yourself.
It's crazy. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Make sure you subscribe and support our local journalists. Ira, as always, great stuff, great insight. We will catch you tomorrow morning with the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show.
Full hour show with Clay Ferraro. I posted my Heat midseason report card. I'll go over it. We'll see how Clay grades me tomorrow. Thank you, Big O.
Got it. There you go. Be good. There you go. The great Ira Winderman. I love it. Acura Pembroke Pines, baby. Tell them that Big O sent you. Right now, folks, you can get the 2022 ILX. You can save thousands right now. You can buy or lease $500 on loyalty savings. The #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States now, 12 years in a row, folks. The TLX 2022 is in. The RDX is in, folks. Man, they've got financing as low as 2.9% for 60 months financing. So get on down there. Tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you. You can buy or lease the MDX, which is just a absolutely beautiful car, at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. All right.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.